Hi guys, we are back. Another YouTube video. We're gonna go through legs today. So we're literally gonna get straight into it. Pretty much the same routine as we always do, same session. The only thing I'm gonna switch in today is the pendulum. So I'm gonna move on to the pendulum, take the hack out for a bit. We ran the whole off season and last prep with the hack. So I've been running the hack probably close to over a year. Which I'm more than happy to keep running, but I found myself kind of moving into the realm of chasing numbers. As we all know, someone who likes to chase numbers and obviously train as hard as possible. We want certain numbers on the score sheet, and I found myself doing that probably a bit too much, and I was getting into my own head. And the past 2 weeks I've actually bottomed out on a hack on my top set, which is obviously not ideal, and probably not the smartest way to go about it, considering where we are in prep. So I'm just moving on to the pendulum just to give me a mental fresh start, and work my way up on that. And then I'll carry the pendulum into my next push-up, into the off-season. So this is kind of just like finding my numbers out, basically, in my head, kind of finding my numbers out for the rest of the prep, to then kickstart it in the next off-season, next push-up. So that's where we're at. That's the only movement I'm changing, just because it was getting in my head. You know how prep goes. If you've been through prep, a lot can get in your head, and the less stress you can put on yourself, the better. And it was kind of just stressing me out, unnecessary amounts of stress. So, as well as pushing to the point of bottoming out on the set 2 weeks in a row, it's not ideal. So, and that's partly my fault for probably taking those 50-50 reps and going to that place. But so we're going to set some new numbers on here on the pendulum today. Been the same routine, the same kind of format as we always do, with pendulum being 6th movement in, like hack was. But we'll just move through as we normally do, and see what we can work up on. I'm looking at 4 plates as a minimum. I know at my peak on the pendulum was 5.5, 6, with a band. So 4.5 to 5, I'd be pretty happy with. We're still working in those two sets of 8 to 12 on the hack for the squat variation. It's the same kind of movement. It's just a different variation of the squat. So nothing's really changing. It's just the movement pattern and the machine. I'm someone who doesn't change anything really. So for me to change something, there's got to be something. There has to be a big reason for me to do so, and the reason is what I've just said. So we're going to run it, start with calves, into hamstrings, then into quads. So we'll get started. Into hamstrings, line hamstring curl, which you've seen me do before. Two sets on here. Did 3 sets on the calves. 3 sets of 8 to 12. No intensifiers. We've got a drop set on this on line hamstring curl on the last set. So yeah, pretty simple 2 sets, and then we go into our second hamstring movement. for the session, which is already kind of our compound, and then moving to quads. So, well, yeah, looking forward to kind of running the pendulum for a bit now. Something a bit fresh, something to kind of obviously look forward to. Like I mentioned, we hammered the high squat for the whole of last off season, the prep before that. So sometimes it's kind of nice to move on to something else if you kind of ran into the ground. And like I said, just give me a bit of mental peace and less stress going into legs and for the rest of the week. So. So onto plate loaded RDL using gym lecker one. So as you know, gym lecker machines are pretty heavy. So being able to hold numbers on here and progress. So this is another week of progression with, or it might be a match, or set 10. Set 10 on the first set, and then we'll probably get 8 or 9 on the second set. Yeah, which should happen if you're doing straight sets. You should regress in reps as the sets go on, if that makes sense. So if you're getting the same reps on both sets with the same load, you're not going hard enough on your first. So make sure you're pushing every set so that you're fairly the right point, and fatigue should kick in after your first set, which is why you get less reps on your second. So I'll aim for 8 or 9 on this second one. Probably like a 3-minute rest in between, because obviously it's a hefty compound, so usually rest periods at the moment are like 2 minutes, 3 to 4 on compounds. So just 2 sets on here, and then we move to our first quad movement, which is leg extension. Moving on to leg extension, which is our first quad movement of the session. Prime, pin loaded, plate load. I'm prioritising the top of the movement, top pin, which is basically going to take a bit of load off the contraction, so I'm going to be able to get a full contraction, and obviously makes the stretch a bit harder, so I kind of like that. I've done all of them, to be fair, all the pins, and worked reps with them. This is kind of my favourite. I've loaded the middle, just the middle, and done that. But you get to the end of the set and you kind of struggle to get a contraction, whereas in this I can go to failure, but on the failure rep I'm still able to get a full contraction of the quad, so I kind of like it. 3 total sets on here, 3 straight sets, so the load doesn't change. And again, reps wise, obviously you want to be going for your highest rep on the first set and then gradually working your way down. So say if I got 12 on the first, I'd then aim for about 10 on the second and about 8 to 10 on the third. My last 2 sets on here are drop sets as well. So I basically do my set, take a plate off the top, and then go again. I'm normally in the drop set, I'm getting around 6 or 7 reps, which is kind of where you want to end up. You don't want to be getting 10 plus reps on a drop set, really. If you're getting those kind of reps on a drop set, you're probably going too light. So I like to aim for 5 to 8 reps on a drop set, basically amping up as many reps as possible. So that's where we're at. Being able to keep load pretty much exactly the same through the whole prep so far. I haven't had to take anything off this since I reset it a few months ago. Just getting accuracy a bit more on point. I saw a post this morning actually from James Hollingshead when he was training legs, doing leg press, and he was talking about 2 words. I think it was actually the hypertrophy coach was actually pinpointing it. And he was saying about accuracy and intensity, having both of those in play, instead of, what I was doing in the past and for quite a long time in the off season was more just intensity. I could have been better with my accuracy. So now resetting a couple of movements and focusing on accuracy, but still going as heavy as possible, of course. Working with intensity and accuracy at the same time. That is what is going to grow tissue. If you're going too light, you're not going to provide enough tension to the muscle. The intensity is not going to be there. And in the other hand, if you're going too heavy and you're just balls to the wall, training movements A to B, a lot of the load is going to go off the muscle you actually want to work. So, a lot of the load, say on hack squat, if you're going too heavy, is going to go onto your glutes and hamstrings instead of your quads, where the accuracy needs to be on point on the quads, but still going as heavy as possible. So we're trying to find that balance between both. So that's what kind of my training is now. So I'm, gradually getting into that. I'm looking forward to going into the off season with that kind of pinpointed focus as well. So first set on here, and we'll just work through. Into leg press. Done my first set on my right leg, just waiting to do my second set, first set on my left. I always start with my weakest quad. My weakest quad is my right. It just feels a bit more vulnerable than my left. It's where I had my knee injury 2 years ago. So ever since then on leg press, it hasn't been the same strength as my left. So the left feels great, but the right just feels a bit iffy. So I go on that first, set the pace in terms of numbers, and then I match on the left. You don't want to be doing more reps on your stronger leg than your weaker. So start on your weakest, go to failure, match on your left. Obviously, you still want to make the left side or your good side hard in terms of set. So when you feel like you're getting close to failure, slow the form down, so slow the set down. Really try to think about reaching failure on the same rep as your weakest leg. That's how I think about it. Otherwise, I'll end up doing 4 or 5 reps more than my right and my weakest one, and then my strongest one will start just overpower my weakest one. So, little tip for if you've got weak sides, which everyone has a stronger side. Whether it's a stronger arm, whether your right side on your upper body is stronger than your left, or legs the same. So no one's got exactly the same strength on both sides. It's just doesn't happen. So 2 sets on here. I think it's 10 to 15, but just 2 straight sets. So I just got 12 on that. So obviously need to do my left, get 12 on that, and then we go second set. No intensifiers on this. Pendulum in, just rest in between first and second set, 2 straight sets on here, 8 to 12. We got 8 on the first one. I don't know, at this point in the session, I thought it'd be a bit different coming off the hack onto the pendulum, and maybe a different variation would give me a bit of, I don't know what the word would be, but I'm just get to this point now in the session and fucked. You know, food is burnt through, energy's, you know, low, and it's just powering through now with the little energy I do have. You know, so I think the biggest change that I found in terms of energy dip has been when carbs got taken out of my intra workout. I mean, I only have like 25 grams of carbs in there, but it would help me kind of get through the session. Whereas having the squat movement in, safe movement in to the session, I'm just, you know, after the leg press I was done. So, you know, it's going to have to be, obviously I'm doing as much load as I can. You know, I got 8, which is the bottom end of the rep range. So, you know, and if I'd gone any more, I would have bottomed out, so I didn't want to bottom out today. I don't want to do that. So I'm dropping the load a bit, and hopefully get more than 8 reps. But just that, you know, you'll know if you've been in prep, and when you're kind of at the back end of prep, you don't have that extra grind in you, you know, at the end of the set, to where, you know, those last kind of 3 reps where they're kind of grinders, and you know, that's where you're using the food in the off season, is those last 3 reps, you know, and you just don't have that in prep. You just don't have that you know, strength and power to get the weight up when you're grinding. You know, you might grind for 1-2 seconds, and then you'll just hit a wall. You know, you hit a wall much quicker in prep than you do off season. You know, so that's kind of what we're working with on the squat at the moment. I'm trying to just think of the squat as just another movement, like a calf raise, a lying leg curl. It's just a squat, you know, but I can't, my head in the off season, you know, because I know I need to bring my legs up, and I know how much damage I can do on my legs when my legs get brought up. The hack squat alone is like my focal point for the week, you know, so it's hard to turn that off in prep. But sometimes you just have to, you know, you have to think, you know, and these aren't excuses, because I fucking love to train hard as possible, and it's just annoying that I can't do that. I'm trying to push through it, which is why I bottomed out the last 2 weeks. It's because I'm trying to push beyond probably what I'm capable of with the amount of food that's going in. You got to think as well, cardio every day. There's just things in prep that don't allow you to push beyond your means when it comes to training. And that's the point for me where making a smart decision is important, and not following my gut. My gut is to say, fuck it, just add more load and go balls to the wall, but I will get injured doing that, because I've done it before. So I've got to think smart. I've got to think about the time we've got left in prep. I'm not telling you yet, because I don't know. We have no show dates booked. You know, I'm just doing the do. I'm just enjoying the process. You know, it's just a bit. Always gets to me. This part of prep always gets to my head. But I'm learning to deal with it more and more as the years go on. And you know, it's all well and good having this mindset in the off season, because it does carry you through. It does push you beyond, you know, points that you think that you're capable of in the off season. But when it comes down to prep, it's just making those smart choices, which is difficult but necessary in some ways, because I don't want to beat up my central nervous system at the same time and put me into a hole, and the body will just start dropping weight massively. So, you know, I have my lowest weigh-in to date today with prep, which for some reason every single week I get a lowest weigh-in on leg day, which then affects leg session. So it's not ideal. So it is what it is. We just crack on. The legs are still looking good, so that's all that matters. The judges don't give a shit about what you do in the gym. You know, as long as your legs look good, big, full on stage, that's all that matters. And we're not going to lose tissue, so we just got to keep fighting. That's what this journey is all about. Just keep pushing forward and keep putting perfect days in a row. So, second set on here, and then we'll move into adductors for our last movement.